Hey guys, today I'm going to be painting Conan from the game Conan from Monolith. I'm going to start out with tanned flesh, and that's going to be for all of his skin. I really love when models are like this, mainly because when you're done base coating, like with one color, you're done with like 80% of the mini, which is always really fun. That and I really enjoy highlighting skin. I think it's pretty easy to do at this point in my painting career, as you might call. Really, again, it's just a base coat, and then we're just going to add a little bit of white to it. I don't use other colors, and it's pretty simple. This is a really good mini because it has just enough detail to like be exciting and fun to paint without being a burden. So once we base coat it all, again, get his face, his arms, his hands, his legs, and his chest, then we're going to get Reikland Fleshshade from Citadel and kind of just put that wash everywhere. Again, don't let it pool too much, but generally his muscular definition doesn't really allow it to pool an excessive amount, which is kind of nice. Now, while that is drying, we're going to move on to Khaki, and this is the color I chose to kind of bounce off of the kind of orange skin tone that he has. This is going to be for all of the kind of fur tufts, so like his kind of pelt here, and then like the tufts on the top of his shoes are also going to get this treatment. Next up we have Strong Tone, and this is going to just kind of go over all that khaki we just did. It's just, again, kind of a black wash. It's just going to darken it down a little bit and make that look a little bit better. From there, we're moving on to Leather Brown. This is going to be on his hand wraps, like you see right here. I'm showing one here. And then it's also going to be on his boots. Next up, we have Tan Fleshshade again. This is just bringing back the base color. Again, with skin, you want really nice gradual transitions. You don't want to just go from, dark to bright instantly. That nobody's skin is that shiny unless you're painting some like animate golem or something like that, perhaps. But this is just a regular dude, so he just has skin. So we're just going to kind of highlight. Again, pretty much all the muscle definition. I'm not working on a singular light source here. Pretty much he's just going to be lit up. Like a light is casting in onto his raised portion of his muscles here. Now again, as always, you're going to want this a little bit watered down more than you did with the base coat. So whatever you had with the base coat, just add a little bit more water to it until it's kind of a melted ice cream, maybe even a bit less of a consistency, and that'll get you your highlight consistency that you really need. Next up, we're going to do the exact same thing for Khaki, and so again, this is just kind of not really as watered down. In fact, you don't really need to water down too much because we're just doing the raised portions here. I just used what was on my wet palette at the time. This was the same day. This whole miniature only took like less than 2 hours, maybe like an hour and 40 minutes, and that's only because of the blade and how long that took. So bear in mind, if you just did a regular metallic metal on the blade, it would then be far less. Now we're actually adding a little bit of white to this tanned flesh. So again, it's just a little bit. Again, if you got your handy dandy wet palette, just mix it in there nice and smooth. If you don't have the wet palette, get one. Link in the description below. Seriously, it's cheap It'll save you a lot of time. You don't want to deal with the Tupperware stuff. I did that for a long time, and I didn't like having the high walls. And, you know, the sponge that this one comes with is just better. Just get it. You'll thank yourself later. Now pay special attention to the face here. Again, this is going to be kind of a defining feature of him, though this model makes him look kind of like a almost like a Neanderthal. He's very, very much not exactly the best looking guy I have ever seen. He looks pretty much like a man ape dude here, just pure, you know, stone jaw, excessive cheeks, you know, all that jazz. And we're going to do the same thing with the khaki. Again, this is a little bit of white added to it. I didn't call it out here, but this is really what this is. It's just the khaki with a little bit of white, just to pop out that green even more. And then we're also going to do it on the leather brown. Make sure to do kind of some, you know, special treatment on the kind of the shoes, the top portion of it, where it's kind of curved, and then again on the kind of ripples up the top of his boots. On his upturn foot there, just be sure to, you know, get that kind of top part of it. It will make it look a lot more natural. Next up we have chocolate brown. You didn't have to do this in another brown. If you only had one brown, just do the leather brown or just the chocolate brown. But changing up the browns, I think, helps minis a lot. There's plenty of browns out there you can get paint-wise, and having different kind of variations of them, some more yellow, some less yellow, or more orange, or darker, or whatever, just I think really change up the visual excitement or complexity of the miniature in a good way. Next up is Gehenna's gold. That's for his little bit of belt buckle that's showing. Then he's also got this little armband here, and then he also has the guard on his sword and the pommel, and you want to do all those. Again, just a few little details besides his necklace. That's really the only thing kind of changing up the miniature a little bit, besides the fact that he has two different kind of armbands that I think really helped the miniature a lot. It would have been a lot less without these little tiny details. Alright, next up, Abaddon Black for the eyes. All I can say is good luck. I did this like 7 times. I'm still not super happy with it. I need to get some Micron pens. So if you're using Micron pens and you know which ones you use, link them below. I would love to know kind of which to get. I know there are different sizes and colors. You can see, I think just the pupils are like good set-wise. They're just not the same size. It's whatever. You're also going to be painting the hair. Now, be careful with this hair. You are painting with absolute black on a fully painted miniature. This is beyond frightening. By all means, I guess do this first, but either way I would suggest being careful, because I wouldn't want to paint the flesh color over the black if you did mess up. And he also kind of has a big part on the top of his head. Fill that in. You don't want that not filled in. Next up, I'm putting Astrogranite onto the base, and I'm doing it now so that it has plenty of time to dry. I'm just going to show you how I kind of plop it on there and scrape it and move it around. The reason I'm doing Astrogranite, I'm going to kind of scrape it thin here, as you can see, is just because there are so many different boards that are different, whether it's a ship or a nighttime fortress or inside of an inn or outside. I can't base him to make him match all of them, so I'd either have to pick one to base him at, or just kind of do a generic kind of darkened textured base. But by all means, texture the base. It looks so much better. Trust me, it'll look better than if it was just painted gray. Now we have Abaddon Black out again, but very, very thin. I'm giving him a little bit of eyebrows. He does have eyebrows, and I think it was a good addition to his face. Next is Dragtooth. This again is just for his necklace. He just has like 3 or 4 different teeth here that you're just gonna put on here. Don't worry about washing them or anything like that. Now we're gonna highlight the hair. So now is uniform gray, and we're gonna start at the very top where it's parted. That's gonna have the biggest kind of reflective shine here. Now be careful, because what you don't want to do is make him look like he has gray hair. right? He's got black hair. So we're just adding a little bit of strands of this kind of stripes of gray, and wherever it's turned, maybe accentuating that, but otherwise it's still black. This little bit of gray and the stripes here will kind of change it up and make it look a little bit more natural. Next up is ash gray. It's a very heavy highlight, so only do this on certain parts. I'm mainly only doing this on the top. I also do it a little bit where it's kind of turned, again, just to accentuate that turn of the hair, but otherwise it's just there at the top. Now, this is going to be a little different, so I'm going to kind of slow down and do some longer parts, do some smaller parts, just depending on what I'm doing here. But I'm going to try my first ever non-metallic metal. This is going to be on this sword here. I think it's pretty good for a first time, but don't sue me if it's terrible. So that was uniform gray as a base coat. Now I'm swapping back and doing Nuln oil on the base, because I want this to dry, so I'm going to let this dry while I do the non-metallic sword. But I also wanted that base coat to dry, so I'm going to swap it up like this. Now, we have ash gray out, and I'm just kind of penciling in the highlights. Now, this is going to be wash after wash. It's really a glaze. Glaze after glaze after glaze after glaze. This does take much longer. I'm doing the alternating lighting source here. Don't ask me why it does that. I don't know. I'm just your average guy. People who understand how light works would probably explain it. I don't, but I've seen people do this, so that's what I'm doing. I've actually already done it on another miniature, and I think I've already improved. But either way, first time here, so don't sue me. But if you have any pointers, feel free to give those to me as well. So this is ash gray again. I'm just kind of furthering in that blend. Now I got Necromancer Cloak out, which is a darker gray, and I'm pretty much doing the opposite. So again, it's kind of a step ladder kind of effect here. So doing a little bit there and then a little bit on either side. I'm only going to show you the front of it, but I'm doing the back of the sword the opposite way. Now again, one thing you're going to want to note is just how watered down these are. These are incredibly watered down, and I'm getting most of it off my brush and onto my thumb. So again, just a tiny little bit. You'll see me do it later on. Now, I've Necromancer's Cloak out again. This is just further kind of darkening it and really kind of getting that middle part darker. The whole idea of non-metallic metal is high contrast. Now, I've added some matte white into the ash gray. So now, again, just kind of in the middle here, you can see how watered down this is. It's incredibly watered down. I'm just kind of giving those high focus points, and I'm going to pop them out even more. They're going to be super, again, contrast way more than you think you would normally do. Now I've added Abaddon Black to the Necromancer Cloak, so we're getting very dark here. Again, this is not black. This is not black and white. However, it is very much a dark gray and a very bright gray. Again, I'm just getting a little bit in there, and always push your brush towards the middle so that, because you're going to let it pool where you lift off with the brush. So always kind of leave where you want it the darkest when it comes to your brush. Now, I will say that from the tabletop, this looks completely smooth. Here you can kind of see a little bit of jaggedness, but you'll see that anytime you get really up close to really any miniature, even professional non-metallic metal painters. I've zoomed in and you can see the individual brush strokes. It's there, but again, close up it'll be more. And if I was a better painter, it'd be less too. So we're at it even more white now. Again, just popping out the contrast. Keep doing it until you're happy with it. And if you don't want to do this, don't. Just put plate mail on there and you'll be good to go. This is an ash gray dry brush on that base. As you can see, I think it really improves the base, makes it look interesting, kind of blends into everything. Here's that plate mail metal. Again, you could just use this on the sword if you don't want to do the non-metallic metal. It does add time. I'm just trying to practice it. I think besides that, the only thing I haven't done is two brush blending. That's about it. Otherwise, I believe I've tried just about any kind of technique there is. That's just for the spikes, uniform gray for the rim of the base, and then that's going to be it, guys. That was Conan. He's pretty easy. He's pretty quick. Again, I like the level of detail of these guys, and I love the Conan game. It's my favorite game to play right now, so I'll be painting more of these. But this is it, the final miniature. You can see him in all of his glory or lack thereof, depending on whether or not you liked the video and liked the painting. If you did like it, though, let me know. I'd love to hear it. Love you guys' words of encouragement. Again, I'm going to be painting more of these, so expect that. Again, it's just because I'm playing it so much right now that it just makes sense to paint it. So I'm going to be painting a lot more of these coming up here soon. I also got some Mythic Battle Pantheon that's going to happen, and of course Rising Sun's going to be here, and even a few others I'm going to toss in there, some Fallout and whatnot. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I always appreciate it. Again, let me know what you think about this non-metallic metal. I've done it on another miniature already, and I'm even happier with that result than this one, though I think this one turned out pretty good. For a first time, I'm pretty happy with it. It fits my standards anyway. And it's something really fun to do. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it'd be boring, but I ended up liking kind of popping out the contrast that much. It's not something I normally do. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.